Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I'm Peter, that is Matt. We talk about movies here on this show, and in this episode, we are going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the 15th Marvel movie, well, as in the MCU, the 15th MCU
All right.
movie. That's how many
So
we've got.
when Spider-Man comes out, is that going to count as 16, or is
I,
that
th-
on its own because it's co-produced with Sony?
I'd say it does, because it's in the universe.
Okay.
I think that's what's important here, more than
Yeah.
who's making it, I would argue, but yeah.
I had to take umbrage with the guy because I got that trailer when I saw Guardians, and the guy next to me goes, "Oh, finally, it looks like a good Spider-Man movie." I was like, "We've had good ones before, bud. Like, what are
Hmm?
you forgetting?" But yeah, it looks. Then we got Thor later. Like, this is just the appetizer, at least for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably was looking forward to this. Well, I was before the Thor trailer. I was looking forward to this one most. After the Thor trailer, that has a lot of potential. Uh,
Hmm.
so we'll see. So we'll start spoiler free as we always do. It'll probably be a smaller spoiler free section in this one because I feel like most people don't really need to come and check if they're going to go see this movie. They've kind of
Yeah.
they already know, they've made their choice. But we'll do a quick 5 minute spoiler free just to give you sort of general thoughts before we get dig into the plot. So Matt, did you enjoy Guardians of the
Oh,
Galaxy Volume 2?
yeah. I mean, that goes without saying anymore with a Marvel movie. I tend to enjoy them all to varying degrees, and this is in the upper middle of enjoyment, I think. I did see it kind of late, so I was drowsy, but that's not the movie's fault. That's me being up since 5 a.m. and but it still held my attention. You know, it's one of those fighting, don't close your eyes, stupid
Mm.
type deals. But yeah, the additions to the cast, I think, as if the first one didn't have a good enough cast, this double downs, and you have like Karen Gillan actually being able to do stuff and not just be menacing.
Do you know, that's a very classic sequel thing to do, actually, is you take someone
Hmm.
who was a minor character in the first one and you flesh them out a bit more and give them more to do, and it feels like the world's expanding, and
Yep.
it kind of did that with her. Uh, I liked it as well, although I think I have a few more reservations than you do.
Hmm.
Mainly, and it's mainly plot stuff. Like I like the movie a lot for the characters and for their banter
Hmm.
back and forth, for the jokes, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff was great. It was as good as it was in the first one. So it's still a really enjoyable time. I do have a bit of problem with the sort of plot and the structure of the movie though,
Yeah.
because basically the team splits up at one point and half the team land on a planet, and then it just feels like we're on that planet for most of the movie, and there's no urgency like there wasn't, because the first movie always felt like it was
It
moving
moved.
forward. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
always like going in a direction, whereas this one it does feel like at least half of the plot and the good middle chunk of the movie feels like it just kind of sits around waiting for the thing to happen.
Yeah. And I will say too that James Gunn has kind of broken from the Marvel formula here with the villain. It's a really iconic villain, but we'll get to that in the spoiler section. And with that format, which I had my problems with it too, but I kind of understand why he did it because even the first Guardians movie stands out compared to the other. Was that Phase 2? Is that Phase 2? I
Yes.
can't even remember
Yeah,
anymore.
Fista.
We're 15 in, as Pete said, so, you know. Uh, but yeah, so I mean, I think it'll stand out on its own. It won't get lost in this shuffle of, three movies a year. But I think that's more to do with James Gunn than anything else because he has not a style, but an energy to his filmmaking that's very apparent, even in a plot that I had issues with.
Yeah, I think his humour's obviously very much there.
Hmm.
Most of the characters do get their own arc, which is actually quite impressive.
Hmm.
Some more so than others. Like I think Drax is like the least of an arc in terms of like. Well, I suppose
But
actually
he's
maybe Groot
different.
actually. Groot's maybe more even less so, but Groot's Groot.
But they've changed in between movies, which is good.
Oh
You
sure,
know,
yeah, and
uh,
I'm just saying he's got less because his arc is more of a
yeah,
comedy relief kind of
yeah.
thing,
Yeah, it's
whereas
weird to say that Dave Bautista is the comic relief in a movie that has Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper. And
this is
you know what I
true.
mean?
This is true.
It's just, but that
But
dude for being a meathead is funny.
But
Like his
Star-Lord,
delivery.
Star-Lord, Rocket, Gamora, Nebula, Yondu, they all have arcs. They all have arcs. So as much as I have problems with the pacing and the plot, I can't deny that it works really well for the characters almost entirely across the board. So, so bit of a negative opinion on some of it, but for the most part, it was still really fun. So, and that's it for spoiler free. We're going to go into spoilers. I'm not wasting any more time. Let's go straight into it. So we start off the opening title sequence, which again is kind of irregular from the rest of the Marvel universe because they all don't have this. But the first Guardians had the opening titles at the start. With Chris Pratt dancing on the planet, and did that again here. Except this time they're fighting a giant squid alien monster thing, whilst Groot is dancing to music. And also had a nice little callback in the middle of it to the post credit scene from the first movie, where it's called Grooting now. They call it doing the Groot when you pause when someone's looking at you and Drax looks at them again. So right away, you feel very familiar with the whole thing, and it feels very big and comic book. They've all got jetpacks on, and they're like rocketing
except
Star-Lord.
for Drax.
Yeah, because his nipples are sensitive.
His sensitive. Yeah, it hurts his nipples.
But they're all flying around and shooting. All this chaos is going on, but we're staying with Baby Groot as the music's playing and all the rest.
Liked it. There's an effective wonder following him, because you got to realize it's mostly CG. Like, it's not Chris Pratt in the first one.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, that was. I mean, Chris Pratt was edited in the first one anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I know, but I'm still saying, like, it feels, not that it feels like a cutscene, but there's a different feel to it. But I appreciated the callback to the first one.
Yeah, I think if you compare the openings, that the first one, it was like him in a dark cave, and he was dancing, sure, but everything was dark and grungy and wet, whereas here everything is so goddamn colourful. There's just colour all over the place in this opening. Throughout most of the movie as well, to be honest, but certainly in the opening. So obviously we started a scene on Earth, kind of like we did in the first one as well, with young Kurt Russell.
Oh man, how great has the de-aging gotten? Because that looked like Carpenter era Kurt Russell.
It's funny though, because we're doing it with these actors now, where we know what they look like at that age, because we've seen them.
Yeah.
We watched them at that age. I mean, maybe not at the time because I wasn't born, but I grew up watching those movies.
Yeah. We're talking Jack Burton looking, which as a Kurt Russell fan that I am, I couldn't believe it, because you go look at Jeff Bridges in Tron, which is how many years ago now, 8, 9, and he looks all plasticky. Here it looks like they got a time machine.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
That and The Last Stand, those are the two really bad examples of the de-aging. Whereas when we got to Michael Douglas and Ant-Man, it was like, whoa, what's going on here? This is voodoo magic bullshit, this. I don't know what you even call this. It's scary. So there's a little bit of backstory set up there. They basically, Kurt Russell, who plays Ego, shows up and he's like, hey, Star-Lord, I'm your dad. And the team split up after they've went on the run because Rocket stole some batteries from these the Sovereign.
So in the beginning, they were hired to do a job to protect these batteries, and of course Rocket has to steal the batteries because he's Rocket and he's a raccoon. That's what they do, and it gets it's called the Sovereign. And they send their people.
This is part of why I was kind of disappointed that we spent so much time in the one planet, because this Sovereign place, where it was like all these planets in a row, looked really goddamn cool. I wanted more locations like that.
Yeah. Definitely more sci-fi than one location,
Yeah.
It's some variant, but so and then Ego makes a save, and he introduces himself in a big grand fashion, and it's Kurt Russell having fun, which I haven't seen in a good while. He has to play a lighter character because he's always been doing these big, heavy kind of roles.
Honestly, the sad part about Kurt Russell's character, though, is that he's kind of the core of the problem with the plot.
Yeah.
So his character's kind of a letdown in a weird roundabout way. I mean, he's great, he's fine, he's doing what he does, but like his whole plot where he takes Star-Lord, Gamora, and Drax along with his helper person. What's her name? Mantis, thank you. Back to his planet of Ego, which he reveals is himself. He's a celestial being, and he built this planet.
Which I'm glad they did, because when I had heard that they were bringing his dad in, and it was going to be Ego, I'm familiar enough with Marvel Comics that there's a character named Ego, the Living Planet, and I was like, well, that's weird. And then with the way that they explained it, I really liked it that they made him a celestial, and it brings it back to the first one where Nowhere
Was the
that
head of a
like
celestial, yeah.
was the head of a celestial, so it ties it back to there. And
That's pretty cool. Joe, I'll say about this though. This feels super Star Trek. See when
yeah.
he started explaining this about how he's a celestial and he built this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Connor have been watching the old Star Trek episodes like once a week for the last few months, and this was feeling like one of those plots. Like when he was explaining all this stuff, it was kind of insane. But yeah, but that's kind of the big problem I have with the movie is that once they get to Ego, like this half of the team, obviously there's some fun stuff in there. In fact, one of my favourite jokes of the entire movie, one of my favourite lines, is Gamora yelling to Star-Lord that she doesn't know what Cheers is. That cracked me up. But for the most part, once they're on the planet, they're kind of just wandering around, and Ego's showing things off, and it feels very laid back. And
Yeah, he's putting on a show, like... I was waiting for the other shoe to drop because everything was just going so perfect.
And that was the thing though. Like it got to a point where I'm like, wait a minute, we're an hour in, and they've not introduced anyone who could be the main villain.
Well,
I wonder who it's going to be.
Yeah, and to say I have a problem with people saying stuff's predictable, like it's a bad thing. Because sometimes I don't think predictable's bad. I think it's just a well-told story. And I think here Gunn had foreshadowed enough that if you're familiar with these kind of movies, you're gonna pick up on it.
That said, though, I will stick up for naysayers on this one a little bit because I don't think this was that interesting a villain. Ultimately.
Oh no, I'm not defending it on that point. I'm just thinking like I had pieced it together when the villain turn came, when Ego reveals his plan. It was kind of like, well, yeah, no, duh, no one else.
Yeah,
like they've taken out the Ravagers,
but I think
unless Stallone was showing up.
But I think that's part of the problem with the whole relaxed plot thing, though, is that we don't really have a main villain until he does his turn. So while you figured it out, it's going to be him. Yeah. The characters aren't aware of it yet, so there's no this sense of danger. Obviously, the Ravagers are doing stuff with Rocket and Yondu and all that. That's a separate plot, and that stuff's fun. It's definitely in the middle of the movie. I was enjoying that stuff way more. But like because he hasn't revealed his plan until later on, the actual final fight on Ego's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But again, it was kind of disappointing that we never really even get to leave the planet. We're still kind of in the orbit of where Ego was at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's where we end. We didn't really get to go anywhere, which is a bit of a shame. But I don't want to... That's kind of the extent of my negativity, though. I don't want to be too down on it, because I actually did have a lot of fun otherwise. It's just... Definitely, I would say the first one's better, because the plot was definitely more focused, and definitely had a more of an urgency and a sort of momentum going throughout. Whereas this one, half of it didn't, which is a shame. But
yeah, and it feels even more disconnected than the first one did from the Marvel Cinematic. And I get that they're going off into space, but that had the stone involved and whatnot, and this felt pretty disconnected from the events.
There was a couple of little lines that connected it back to Thanos. Obviously, Nebula wants to kill him, which obviously makes her more of an anti-hero, so we'll see how that plays into it in movie number 3.
And I liked her arc too with Gamora. And I feel out of anybody, Gamora kind of gets the short end in this one. Because, I feel like Zoe Saldana didn't do much in the movie. Like, she's done some cool sword stuff, but...
I don't know.
She has to play the straight woman. Yeah, more so than the first one.
Yeah, she's the straight man essentially in this one. I think she gets a reasonable amount. I think she has more of an arc than say Drax does. So I think she gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they've already said the third one's going to be more focused on her, which probably makes sense because if it's set after Infinity War, they've already dealt with Thanos. The fallout of that might lead to what the plot's going to be. So it might her and Nebula might be big parts of the third movie. But I thought they worked well, their plot. It was actually kind of funny how much Nebula wanted to kill her and kept trying to kill her.
Well, and that was it. She shows up on Ego with this, spaceship and just starts running at Gamora. And it was a really cool chase scene into the cave, and Nebula just keeps coming.
It was also a welcome dose of action, because this planet so far had been just asleep.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It was like a rest and relaxation spa.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Every single scene with Mantis and Drax was making me laugh. They were fantastic.
She is beautiful on the inside.
I thought you were just getting creepy. There's she's beautiful.
No. Just Drax. I think he's the most quotable in this movie.
He is. Actually, if I have one other kind of criticism, right, and it doesn't actually bother me, but it's an observation more than a criticism, I guess. But I feel like so many of the jokes in this one relied on like callbacks to jokes in the first one, or they felt like a repeat of a similar thing. Like my favorite joke in the first one was nothing could go over my head. I'm too fast. My reflexes, I would catch it. Like
Yeah.
that was, and there was even a joke that felt like the sequel to that joke in this one. It was something along the lines of I am extraordinarily humble. Like he's bragging about how humble he is, and it was funny. I was like, that's basically kind of the same idea in terms of the joke. And there was a lot of that throughout. The callback to Groot wanting the eye was amazing. Not Groot, sorry, Rocket.
Rocket.
But
don't give it back. It's gonna be so funny when he wakes up and he can't find it. Like
honestly, my favorite arc in the movie probably was Rocket. Rocket and Yondu.
Yeah.
I think they're the standout
Yondu
characters for
me was that. So I like Michael Rooker a lot as an actor because he's like this great character guy and he's always good no matter what he's in.
And he always plays an asshole.
Always. And you got the sense in the first one that Yondu was an asshole, but he has a heart. Like, he really did take care of Peter, even though he, constantly threatened to eat him, It
was a bit more ambiguous in the first one, but obviously in this one, they constantly hint that, it's more to it than that. He knew that Ego was bad news, and that's why I didn't take him there, because he wanted to protect him. And that was kind of like, that's kind of nice, and there's Matt's dog.
Yep,
And
we were talking about Yondu, who he's a big fan of, so
yeah.
he had to come and check him out.
And the tease obviously throughout, like Drax is like, I thought Yondu was your father, and Rock's like, one of them's blue, and like funny stuff. But it builds the heart of the movie. And I'll be honest, if you told me after the first one that in the second movie Yondu is going to be the heart, I'd have been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And what's cool, they did the thing with the fin too. It gave him more of the comic book look, because he has this bigger fin to control the arrow. And I was like, oh, he's gonna be a proper part of the team. And oh no, wait, that's not where the story's going.
Nah, it's leading to him.
Yeah,
it's so that Peter can realize he was the father that he really always had, and it was as dysfunctional and as weird as it might have been. And also, it turns out the whole eating you thing was just a joke, which Peter didn't think was funny.
No, well, of course not. But Rooker in this he brings it.
Because they set up a thing for him at the start as well. Because Stallone comes sauntering into the scene.
Yeah, who I forgot was in this until I saw his name in the opening credits. I was like, oh yeah.
Like, who's he playing?
Yeah.
It turns out he's like the head of one of the big heads of the Ravager sort of folk, and they've basically, like, Yondu's been like ostracized. He's like the black sheep section of the Ravagers because they dealt with kids. That was the reason. Like, there's a code of honor to the Ravagers, and he crossed a line. But obviously, I was like, okay, we're going to see Stallone again. Once he redeems himself, we're going to see Stallone again at the end, and we get this Ravager funeral.
Yeah, and that's a big part, too, of the foreshadowing, where he goes, when you die, you'll never see the Ravager colors fly for you. And it's just like, oh, man, that's brutal. And you see it affect Yondu, and then so at the end, Yondu sacrificed himself for Peter, and he gets the funeral, which, oh, man, I was trying not to wipe tears from my eyes.
So between him and Rocket, because Rocket, of course, is like, he's an asshole to everyone. He keeps being an asshole. Yep. And it's like, no, maybe you actually care about these people. Maybe they're actually friends. And that's kind of his story throughout the movie. Yep. So when he actually realizes this and he tries to, like, give a compliment or, like, try to be not an asshole, it's kind of heartwarming. Especially when he says to Yondu, Groot just said, welcome to the Guardians of the freaking Galaxy. Only he didn't say freaking.
Yeah. I love, too, that they have to talk to Groot about his language.
Yeah.
I just...
Like... So Rocket, I definitely, because Rocket and Yondu, because they obviously get captured by the Ravagers, they have to escape. They escape, like getting Baby Groot to try and get stuff, and he keeps bringing back the wrong thing, including the eye from the first movie that he wanted, and all that. And it was really fun, and he even gave Sean Gunn's character a little nice moment where he redeemed himself, and he was like, "No, I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't mean to cause a mutiny."
They killed all my friends. Which that was heartbreaking too, seeing the guys that were loyal to Yondu getting jettisoned into space.
Yeah, I just dark moments. Yeah,
Gunn just leaves the camera on him, and you see him suffocate, and you're just like, man.
Don't even get me started on the running joke of Taserface.
Taserface. That was good, even with Sovereign. The Sovereign finding it funny.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
because the Sovereign Queen's been like so like just basically cold and like, oh, I want to kill those
yeah.
Guardians for stealing my batteries, like all movie. And then actually no, I tell you what, there was another moment that made me laugh with her.
Hmm.
Back at the start of the movie when she goes to Yondu to put out the hit on the Guardians,
Yeah.
and our servants are rolling out a red carpet and it gets stuck.
Yep.
Do you know what I was thinking of during that scene?
What?
I was thinking of the scene in Parks and Recreation when they're on the ice and they've got the red carpet and they run out of red carpet, so they have to
Right.
walk in the ice. That's all I could
Yeah.
think of in my head when that scene was playing.
Yeah.
Mainly because they're in the
Good
snow and
one.
stuff, but it was really funny. So
Yeah.
I think
Good
clearly
one.
I've brought across here is the movie's exceptionally funny and the characters are all exceptionally well rounded.
Yeah.
They're really enjoyable to watch. That is as true as in this one as it was in the last one. If anything, more so because they're actually a functional team now who know each other, so that they're
Yeah.
making all these jokes.
The dynamics are there more so than in
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, they feel,
Oh.
which is again why the plot kind of was disappointing. I almost wanted to see them go on more adventures, like have more of
Yeah.
a do things in different places, and the fact that the team was split up for half the movie is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But
I'll agree there.
yeah,
I'll agree there. And so, we did this, back in November for Doctor Strange, and
Mhm.
we had our opinions on it, and I stuck up for it because it was enjoyable. But when you compare it to something like Guardians, you're just like, yeah, these are vastly different movies. Which I like Doctor Strange, but I haven't thought about Doctor Strange since.
I've
And
definitely not thought about Doctor Strange.
yeah, and in fact, I forgot about it because every time a new Marvel movie comes out, we in the group rank them, and I forgot to put Doctor Strange on my list, and I really kind of liked Doctor Strange at the time, But it just shows how much a director can make an impact on the film, because this is James Gunn's movie as much as it's a Marvel Studios movie, versus something like Doctor Strange, which is the Marvel Studios movie first and foremost. So it's good that we're 15 in, we make a joke, but we're good that we can get to that point that each one can stand on its own and do what it needs to.
Yeah, definitely the ones where I'm familiar with the director's style are the ones that I typically look forward to more.
Hmm.
Uh, so no, this is clearly an example of that. So. Other small points I like. I really like that when Ego reveals that he put the tumor in Star-Lord's mother's head.
Oh God, that was and Pratt sells that
Yeah.
so well.
Do you know what I loved about that? Because Pratt's been learning about all the Celestial, and he wants him to like
Yep.
be a Celestial with him, so they can. He's planted all these seeds in all these worlds, so that he can basically turn every single planet into his planet, and he
Right.
controls all of it, right? Which, by the way, I thought that was a really missed opportunity, because it cut to Earth a few times. I thought, have an Avenger standing there being like, let's try and stop this, just as a cutaway gag. Like, I thought,
Yeah.
just do that,
I
but
agree.
whatever.
Or
Uh,
that would have been a cool thing to get a Brie Larson cameo in there.
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I get why they wouldn't do
Part
that
of the Air
one
Force.
because maybe they wanted to have her like have a big entrance rather than a little joke one. But
Well, no, I get that, but if you have her as an Air Force,
maybe.
and be
But
like,
I'm
"Yeah,
just
what's this?"
thinking like have Falcon or someone just like being
Yeah.
at the scene of the edge, like moving and being like, no, we need to stop this. Whatever. So he's all like starry eyed. He's like in a celestial sort of trance at the time, and then he mentions that he put the tumor in his mother's head, and he wakes up, and as Kurt Russell's turning round, he's like, which this was really hard to do, by the way. And I know it sounds bad, and as he turns, it's basically the hand shot first, except turned up to 11 because he just starts
Yep.
emptying his clips into him. Like immediately, doesn't think about it. It's just no, I'm going to empty my entire guns into you bastard, for killing my mother.
Yep.
Also, you really sour on him when you find out he's basically tried to impregnate like every type of species across the planet.
Yeah. So he can, yeah.
Oh, sorry, universe, not planet. That's important.
Universe, yeah. I get you. But yeah, because that's his plan. Is that he can't do it by himself. He needs another celestial or someone with a celestial DNA. And so far, no one's been able to do it. That's the big reveal from Gamora and Nebula. It's like he's been trying this, and there's mounds of skeletons, and so it might end up bad for Peter. But Peter's able to snap out of it, and
Yeah. It leads obviously to when he, because they set up, they get a nice little get out of jail free clause here. Because I was thinking, wait, this is kind of weird. Can he just have these powers now? But they set up no. If the original Celestial dies, he doesn't have powers anymore, and that was fine. And they set up a bunch of jokes. There was a lot more references to 80s stuff in this one. I thought we got a cameo from David Hasselhoff, of all things,
which goes with an in joke from Peter.
Yeah.
About.
Yeah, because he always
told
people when he was a kid that his dad was David Hasselhoff and that he was just away shooting stuff and that's why he wasn't around. And it led to, of course, Gamora having a very similar kind of a line to the We're Kevin Bacon in the first one. In fact, Yondu also got one of those because he said, "You look like Mary Poppins." He's like, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." Which, by the way, people are going to be shouting that to him for the rest of his life.
I know that was probably my favorite line in the movie.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Like,
is he cool? Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, so good.
Oh dear, yeah. So that was good. Do you know what? Actually, there's only one joke that I can think of that completely fell flat for me.
Which was?
It was the whole the fruit thing being ripe.
Well.
I think it was okay when they mentioned it in the ship. I was like, okay, this is going to have a punchline, but then the punchline was just Nebula taking a bite and going, "It's not ripe," and I was like, was that it? That wasn't that funny.
Yeah. I almost would have wished that it never paid off. Like she keeps shining up the fruit and stuff keeps coming from it.
It was just it was because they set it up twice. It happened twice where both Gamora and both Drax said it wasn't ripe, so I knew it was leading to something, and I was just like, oh, she just eats it and says it's not ripe.
Well, I think even one of the Ravagers says it too. Like, on the ship.
Maybe.
Yeah, so it's ongoing.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Rocket taking on like an army of Ravagers by himself and lasting quite a while until Nebula shows up and causes trouble.
Yeah, because he sets all his traps. He does all his tricky stuff, and it's real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was fun to see him do more stuff. The winking running joke where he couldn't wink in the right eye, so people kept seeing like, the person that he wasn't supposed to see doing the winking kept winking, like kept seeing it, and they kept knowing he was up to something, and that was pretty funny. That was a good running joke. But clearly, I keep coming back to the character moments and the jokes, and that's really, and because of all those things,
that's what it's heavy on.
The movie's really solid because of that. But the actual plot and the pacing are definitely a bit off. But it does have a heart, and that's important.
Yep. Right.
But the plot is a bit kind of whatever. I really, like, after watching the movie, I kind of wish the whole thing wasn't about who his dad was. I wish that was a subplot, and the actual plot was something else. But
I agree.
That's fine.
I agree there. It's just I'm a little disappointed there was no Thanos here, like, to drive that forward a little bit.
Do you know what? I'm not, actually. I feel like... I think Nebula wanting to kill him is far more interesting because it's like a character thing for her. It propels her story forward. And because we have this sort of weird, like, okay, they're kind of friends now at the end, Gamora and Nebula. Not great friends,
there's an uneasy truce.
Yeah, uneasy alliance kind of thing, which I think will be interesting going forward into either Infinity War or the next Guardians, wherever we see that pop up next. But I'm glad that Thanos didn't show up because I feel like that was maybe one of the few problems I had with the first one is he felt kind of shoehorned in. It kind of felt like, hey, look, MCU connection thing.
Well, I just figured with Gamora and I mean, everyone's kind of, not everyone, but a lot of the characters are centered around Thanos. And I kind of figured there'd be a little bit more to the plot with him and even the Nova Corps and that type of stuff.
Actually, I will say that I thought that was weird because at one point when we see like Earth like having this blue thing like expand, and we cut to Xandu, and I thought it was really weird that we didn't cut into the Nova headquarters and see their reaction to what was going on. And I get it, you don't want to pay Glenn Close and John C. Reilly, but I'm like, it felt really weird we didn't get just one shot of that with them going, oh crap, what's happening?
Yeah.
So, a bit weird. But hey.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun. Let's talk about some of the little Easter eggs and whatnot. There was 5 post-credit scenes, god damn it.
5!
Which, honestly, I was mocking that before I seen the movie. I was like, oh, this is overkill. But I'll be honest, having like these scenes spread throughout the credits made the credits go in really quick. Because it was every couple of minutes we got a new scene. And on top of that, as the credits were going up, there was those little like bits that were happening where, like, you know, Gamora was dancing. Because that was part of the plot as well, is that for her, she was like, no, I'm not a dancer. And then he sort of convinced her to dance at one point. And we see at the end. So there was those little things happening. Did you also notice that some of the credits at the end said, I am Groot?
Said, I'm Groot.
Yeah, and then they changed like halfway up. I thought that was quite funny. So obviously everyone's talking about the Stan Lee thing and how it connects all of these cameo characters together.
Yeah, so he's a Watcher, which we see him with the Watchers. Who, for those unfamiliar, there's a character in the comics who's this big bald guy with massive eyes, and he'll show up kind of as a harbinger when something major is going to happen in the Marvel universe.
Maybe
and he can't get involved; he can only watch.
Maybe it's my DC bias here, but like I looked at them and thought these look like knockoff Guardians from Green Lantern. That's what they feel like to me.
A little, except the Guardians are way more hands-on.
Oh, sure, and they're also blue and little.
Yeah,
these guys were tall, but this is just the bald heads, the cloaks. You know, I've seen some similarities.
Yeah.
Thing.
So we see Stan Lee, and he's recounting some of the events.
He references these other cameos. He references a couple of them, and then again at the end, he references again in the final post-credit scene, and that's cool. There was also, did you notice the cameo in the credits from Jeff Goldblum?
Oh, I did not.
No, it was when it was going up and they were all they were in the shapes, and that was the one where some of them were dancing. There was one of Jeff Goldblum dancing. Is his character from Thor?
Oh, just the Grandmaster.
Yeah, just a fun little thing. Obviously, these dancing bits are not canon, as they would say. No. So it's just a fun little.
Yeah, but it's cool that that means they got a hold of Jeff Goldblum, which makes you wonder, if there's something cut.
Maybe it was just while they were shooting for can we film a quick thing with him in a green screen just to put in the credits. Kraglin, Sean Gunn's character. So one of the post-credit scenes is him learning to use the arrow with the whistling and these horn. What was it? What do they call it?
The fin.
The fin. Yeah.
It's a fin.
So he's trying to learn that, and he stabs Drax by accident. It's pretty funny.
He'll be happy about that.
So that was one. The other one was the Sovereign Queen has this weird Iron Maiden chamber, and she's building a weapon or a person to go and kill the Guardians because she's still pissed at them, as you would be. So that's fun.
She decides to call it Adam.
Does that mean something to Marvel fans?
So Adam Warlock is gold, and the Sovereign are gold. And the Sovereign's big deal was they are genetically perfected. Like each of them, they're not clones, but they're not clones. Like they select. It's like Krypton on steroids.
Yeah.
Like they genetically select to make the perfect.
They also feel very racist about everyone else. Like they look down on everyone. Like I was getting that vibe.
Superiority complex. Yeah.
So that was another one. Right, so we've mentioned 3 of them so far. It's hard keeping track of them all. It's usually really easy to remember the post-credit scenes because they're separate, but when there's 5 of them, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, and there's only 2 usually at the most.
Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, we had another one with the Ravagers where he's like, let's go steal shit, and then the honor of Yondu, fine. And then what was the last one? Last 4 of them. What was the 5th one?
It
was Groot. It was Teenage Groot.
Teen Groot. Yep.
Yeah, Teenage Groot's in his bedroom and Pratt comes in and tries to be a dad, and he's like, "Oh, I am Groot. I am Groot." Like, he's
got the teenage attitude going, and he's sitting there playing on his iPad looking thing and not listening.
All right, well, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess the Sovereign one was a proper tease for a future thing.
Yeah.
Because one of my small criticisms when I came out was that none of them felt like they teased like a future. They all felt like fun little ones rather than propelling.
Yep,
future
and that was
movies.
my thing. I expected a Thor one because that's the next. I mean, I couldn't see how they could wedge Spider-Man into Guardians, but Thor is an easy one because they've been doing that. I mean,
do you know, I didn't, and I think it was because we had already got the tease in Doctor Strange, so I didn't feel like we were going to do it twice in a row for the same movie.
See, I figured we would have seen the Grandmaster.
We did.
Or in the little. I figured a scene with him, like someone talking with him.
Kind of like how we saw the Collector in the end of Thor 2 for Guardians. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I get you. Okay, that's cool. So no, that Guardians 2 was really good. It just wasn't great. It was the character stuff was fantastic. The plot was meh, no urgency, and because of that, it felt like it dragged a little bit in the middle because it felt like we were just waiting around for the thing to start happening. At least on Ego, the stuff with Rocket and Yondu was great. Some of those shots as Yondu finally gets his arrow back and he's like zooming it around all the hallways and it's like going slow motion and going through all of them. Because obviously one of the standout little moments from the first one that I loved a lot was when he used his arrow at the end with like all the soldiers around him and they all dropped dead. But this was like going through all these different places, and then top that with Baby Groot going nuts and trying to hurt the guy who like was making fun of him, and then on top of that you've got that great shot of Rocket like shooting someone through the wall and then smiling like through the wall because he's pleased with himself. But no, all their stuff was great. Like I loved all their stuff. It was just the stuff on Ego was a bit of a. It was like
slows it down. Yeah.
So
still again, I put it in the upper middle of.
So do I, honestly. Like, as much as I'm being critical, I'm making it clear what doesn't work about the movie and what I think makes it not as solid as the first one. But ultimately, no, it's still a good movie. Like, still, if you like the first one, you're going to have a fun time with this. I have no doubts of that. And I think that's why the reviews will all still very positive and still have a high RT score. I think you can, if you look at all the reviews, they all pretty much say, "Oh, it's good, but it's not as amazing as the first one for X, Y, and Z reasons." And I think that's fine.
That's fair.
So, ratings. What would you give this out of 10?
I give it about a 7.
Oh.
That's my mid.
Yeah, no, I actually was going to go slightly higher and say 7.5. I did not expect me to be higher than you, given that I was the one bringing up all the
See,
negative
what
points.
I do is I adjust mine to yours usually. So if you go first,
Yeah, okay.
like so it threw me. So I figured you're gonna 7 it.
Yeah,
I didn't think you'd go 0.5. So
for the record, I give the first one an 8.5. So for me, this is a point down for the plot and the pacing, but the characters are still fantastic, and all that stuff was a lot of fun. I think it'll just suffer maybe a little bit on a rewatch when we're on Ego and we're kind of waiting to get to the main thing to happen.
Yeah,
but that's
kind
of how I feel. So no, we know Gunn's back for number 3, and it'll be what he's calling the end of the era and the transition into the next part of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're not calling it Phase 4. This is the end. Like, that movie's going to be the end of the phases, is what they're saying. That's what Feige said. So what that means, we'll see. But I'm curious how that works out. But it means we're going to have a Guardians trilogy by one director, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully they go all out for the third one. And I cannot wait for Rocket and the Avengers and seeing him interact with Stark and everyone else. And
I can't wait to see him on Earth yelling at other raccoons to put clothes on, because that's one of my favorite things from the comics.
We never mentioned that the Walkman got destroyed, and he gets a Zune as a replacement, and he's like, "Oh, that's what everyone on Earth is listening to these days." He's got 300 songs on it. It's like 300.
300. Yeah. Well, I also love that's what Quill tells his dad is it's not just you shouldn't have killed my mom, you shouldn't have crushed my Walkman.
Yeah. Actually, so this is what I want in Infinity War, right? I want a scene where Captain America has to tell Star-Lord, no one's using a Zune. Like, I want him, because he was out of time and he didn't know what had happened in the last 20 years, or in America's case, it was 70. But I want him to be the one who fills in Star-Lord about everything that's been on. But no, I cannot wait for Rocket to interact with the other characters. I cannot wait for Drax to interact with Thor. Like, there's a lot of pairings in my head that I'm really looking forward to.
Yep. Me too.
So that should be fun. So hopefully Infinity War is a knock it apart. So next up in the comic book movie world, we have Wonder Woman in about a month or so. So look forward to that. As a part of that, me and Connor on Influx will be doing the 2009 animated Wonder Woman movie a couple of weeks before, so you can look forward to that.
Very good.
Yeah, and then we have Spider-Man in July, and before that we're going to do the Raimi trilogy. Leading up to that on Influx, so lots of stuff happening. And then for Thor in November, which is really far away, but I'm just going to tell you, but for Thor in November, we're going to do the 2 Thor movies and the Incredible Hulk leading up to to the new Thor. So.
I will be there for those. I will clear my schedule. November is Thorvember.
There's a Justice League movie out in November. Let's not forget.
There's a what?
Justice League.
I don't recognize your language.
That must be in the same place as that Connor fella you kept going on about this past week.
Connor, I know where Connor's at. All right.
That joke didn't mean anything to anyone who doesn't listen to the comics podcast.
We're not talking about Ginger Connor. Because I know where he is too.
Yeah. So, those are thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. We are on Patreon now. We launched a Patreon, in fact, today. And there is some bonus stuff you can get if you want to sign up there. And you get Influx episodes early for $1. For $5, you get bonus movie reviews from me on my own, and there's other bits and bobs. You get to vote on what an Influx movie is going to be once a month. Obviously, no pressure. Watching, liking, sharing, all that stuff helps us out as well. So, but if you want some cool extras and you want to help support us, you can go over and check that out. Patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV. But no, so yeah, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps us out. Get us on Twitter, mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters, I'm at Wibble89, Matt's at MattofSteel57.
Yep.
Keep watching movies, guys. We'll see you for more films soon. What's next? Alien Covenant's next. That's probably the next movie on the docket.
Yep.
But so we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.